Hello, everyone. My name is Paula Marie Gagne, and I'm a peer career assistant at Career Services. Welcome to the Resume Basics Workshop. This is a beginner's workshop for writing a resume. When starting a resume, it can be difficult to know what all to include in your resume. You may start by thinking about what past experiences you have that you could include, reviewing our sample resumes in our resume guide to see what format you like best, and then start your draft on a blank Word document. It is very important that you do not use a template because these cannot be read by applicant tracking systems. Now to talk about the resume content that you may include in your resume. We recommend for college students to always include these 4 basic building blocks on their resume. I will talk about each of these in more detail. We recommend starting your resume with your contact information at the very top of your document, although it should not be in a header. When listing your contact information, you want to include your name, an email address that is appropriate, and your phone number. You may choose to include your LinkedIn or mailing address, but these are not required. The first category we recommend for college students is the objective. While this is an optional category, this provides focus for your resume and shows what position you are interested in. Your objective should be just one sentence. Regarding the objective, we typically recommend using one of the 3 styles listed here. I recommend stating the position when you are applying to a specific position and using the field or skill objective when attending a career fair with an unknown position in mind. You could also choose to combine the position and skill objective if you know the position you are seeking and know what skills you have to offer for that position. If you have a lot of experience, you may want to use a professional summary instead. Education is a category that we always recommend including. For recent graduates and students attending NKU currently, we typically recommend that you list your education at the top of your document. You should always list your most recent education first. If you are a current student at NKU, then you will want to list NKU at the top of your education category. Here's an example of how you should set up your education category. When listing your education, you should be sure to include the name and location of your college. So, Northern Kentucky University, Highland Heights, Kentucky. It is important to remember to put your degree, including Bachelor of Science or Art or whatever degree you're obtaining, along with your major that you are obtaining. You should also include your minor if you have any minors. Something important to note here is that this student has an area for their tracks. If you have a specific track that goes along with your major, you should be certain to include that as well. You could choose to list your GPA if it is greater than a 3.0. Here's another example of how you could set up your education category. As you can see, they have the degree they're obtaining, their graduation year, and they have included their major and minors. It may be helpful to include coursework if it relates directly towards the position you are trying to obtain and you don't have other experience in that area. These related courses can come from your major, minor, or electives and show how you have the skills needed for a specific position. Here are some optional items that you may choose to include in your education category. If you are a freshman or a sophomore here at NKU, you may choose to list your high school. If you are a junior or a senior, we don't typically recommend listing it. If you have attended multiple universities, you may choose to list them or omit them. If you obtained a degree from that past college, then we would recommend listing it on your resume. If you have had the opportunity to study abroad, you could also include that here in the education section. If you have any honors, such as President's or Dean's List, you could include that in your education section as well. The next section that we include is an experience section. When thinking of experiences to include, I recommend thinking about what relates most to the position you are applying for. This could be unpaid volunteer experience, an internship, class projects, research you've done in class, etc. Here's an example of how you could set up the experience section. You want to be sure to always include the name and location of the employer, your job title, and the dates that you did that experience. You should always list present positions first. You will then want to use 1 to 5 bullet points to describe specifically what you did in that position. If you are still doing that experience, you should start each bullet point with the present tense verb. If you are no longer doing that experience, you should use a past tense verb. When choosing action verbs to use, you should try to use a variety. Something that I think is important to note on this slide is that this person chose to show their promotion in the first bullet point. If they did not have much experience, they could have chosen to divide these experiences into 2 separate entries. First, listing the sales associate position with bullet points, and then below that, listing the stock clerk position with bullet points. If you need a save space, you can show promotions in a bullet point like this person did. As I said before, when making your bullet points, you should begin them with action verbs. Here are some examples, but in our resume guide, you can see a list of action words that may help you create your bullet points. And our resume guide can be found on our website. I also recommend trying to find keywords in the job description and trying to tie them into your bullet points. Now I'm going to talk about some optional resume categories that you could include based on your experiences. When it comes to deciding what to include on your resume, I think it is better to list as much as you can think of and then narrow it down to what most relates to the position you are applying for. This is a breakdown of some of the optional headings you could include that we commonly see. Honors, such as Dean's List and President's List, can be listed in their own category or in your education section. Honors such as Employee of the Month could be listed in your honors section or under your experience section. For activities in leadership, I recommend only listing activities you have been in while in college or post-graduation that are long-term. If you have held a position within that organization, it is important to include that. A skills section can be useful if you have skills that are specific to the position and can be used in that position, such as computer skills, languages, or other specific skills they have asked for in the job description. Soft skills, such as leadership skills, should be included in the descriptions of your experiences. Now I'm going to talk about some of the content and formatting of your resume. After making a draft of your resume, you should review it to make any necessary revisions. We recommend having a 1 to 2 page resume, so you may need to trim down your content if you are barely going on to a second page, and determine what best showcases your abilities to do the position you are applying for. It is important when creating your bullet points to not be repetitive. You should also not use acronyms unless they are used in the job posting, because we shouldn't assume the reader knows what those acronyms mean. When it comes to formatting your document, we recommend using an easy to read font and sticking between 10 to 12 point font, with your name being the biggest font on the page. It's important that your headings and bullet points are consistent in format, such as capitalization, bold facing, and underlining. You shouldn't use too much because, as I like to say, if everything is bold, nothing is bold. In regards to layout, you should avoid borders, tables, templates, columns, and boxes because these cannot be read by applicant tracking systems. I often see resumes that are left heavy. We recommend trying to balance out the page. This may mean moving your dates to the right side to even out the page. When determining margin sizes, I recommend sticking to the normal or narrow setting. We are happy to help you with your resume to ensure that it is error-free before you submit it. You can email us the Word version of your resume and we'll provide you with feedback. Just send it to resumehelp@nku.edu. Career Services will be providing help throughout the semester remotely. You can find our guides on our website, and you should email us or call us to schedule an appointment with the career advisor. If you are interested in learning more about the content and resume layout, you should attend our future workshops, which go more in depth about these specific topics. We also will have workshops on writing cover letters and tips for using Word when writing your resume. Thank you so much for attending this workshop.